Good afternoon. We will call our work session agenda to order. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Dominic, Lyndon Johnson,
Present.
Jackson, Lynn,
Present.
Bowman, Cawthorn,
Present.
Gage Watts, Middleton,
Present. Here.
Atkins, Chavez,
Here, sir.
Smith, Lewis Johnson. We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we will ask you to silence your cell phones. We will have our invocation by Commissioner Lewis Johnson, and we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Vice President Chavez. Please stand.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, Lord, we come before you now in the name of Jesus, in whose name there is peace and fullness of joy. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your grace and for your mercy. We pray, Lord, that you would bless this meeting on today, oh God. We pray, oh God, that all that we say and all that we do will give you glory. We ask now, God, for wisdom greater than our own, that the decisions that we might be right and proper, God. We pray that you might put us on one accord and bless all that are here on today. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. If everybody in the room would face the flag, if you're a prior military or veteran, you may render a hand-to-brow salute and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioners. Mr. Clerk, do we have any agenda additions?
Yes, ma'am, we do. We have actually 3 of them.
Okay.
I'll take them each in order. First, we have we would need a motion and a second to expand the agenda to add resolution of recognition for Miss Lisa K. Ivory.
Okay, it was moved, that was Commissioner Mike Middleton, and that was seconded by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Okay, at this time, we'll have public comments. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of adding this agenda item? Is there anyone here to speak against it?
Can you speak on behalf of it?
As a citizen? As a citizen?
Okay, right. We're good.
Okay, I see none. I declare this public hearing closed. At this time, please vote. Okay, and that passes 10-0.
Okay, next we'll need a motion to expand the agenda and add resolution number 54.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it was moved by the chair, and that was seconded by Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of adding resolution number 54 to the agenda? Is there anyone here to speak against adding resolution number 54 to the agenda? I see none. I declare this public hearing closed. Please vote. Okay, and that passes 10-0.
And final one is expand and add to the agenda Roe, Omega, and Friends for visitor on June 20th.
So moved. Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, and that was seconded by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Okay, is there anyone here to speak in favor of adding Roe, Omega, and Friends as a visitor to the agenda? Is there anyone here to speak against it? I see none. I declare this public hearing closed. Please vote. And that passes 10-0.
That's all the agenda additions I have.
Okay. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we have citizen comments.
Okay. Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward it to the president or the clerk of the commission. Comments by any citizen will be limited to 3 minutes. I have one, Mr. Clerk. Do you have any?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay. Mr. Bobby Edwards.
President and County Clerk.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
You
Madam
have
President.
3 minutes, sir.
All
Thank you
right.
for coming.
Commissioners and the residents of the Caddo Parish. My name is Bobby L. Edwards. I reside at 3325 Fernwood Lane in Shreveport, Louisiana, 71108. Prior United States Air Force veteran, Vietnam, and retired electrical engineer on the Space Shuttle and Advanced Cruise Missile. I'm a Shreveport resident as well as a leader of North Louisiana Interfaith. I'm here today to make public comment in support of the moratorium on the payday lending in Caddo Parish. Now, in the past, Interfaith has worked on legislation to curtail this industry, and will continue this support toward making payday lending illegal in the state of Louisiana. Just like our neighbors next door in Arkansas and other states, they will not tolerate it in their state. Even though we have a long way to go to make payday lending illegal, we believe this moratorium is a step in the right direction. Now, a few more other comments. Payday lending has a logo, which is better known to most of the people who struggle with the loan. They are predator lenders who feeds off certain class of people, predominantly low-income individuals. Their primary locations are in liquor stores. Imagine going to get a loan in a liquor store. This lending establishment put hardship on minimum income individuals, which is unable to pay the amount when due, and in turn put the loan further and further behind. Arkansas, as well as some other states, will not allow them to set up shop in their state. The community needs counsel because of lack of bank offering small loans. Bad credit can come about with this payday lending practice. Also, the people are at risk for robbery out of a liquor store in low secured areas in the neighborhood. Poor quality location spots. Our community has fallen short in support on our citizens and seniors. Support because of the banks, because of low income retired status. Where do we find support for our hardship situation? Can we count on council to find a solution to this growing problem? I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. I have no other comment cards, Mr. Clerk. Next item, please.
We have no visitors. Next, we move to reports, administration report.
Good afternoon, President Gates.
Good afternoon.
Commissioners, we have several things today on our agenda for you today. First and most, we have an update from Mr. Scott Martinez from NLEP. He's here to give us an update on the projects that they're working on. So, Mr. Scott, would you please come forward this time?
Thank you so much, Dr. Wilson. Thank you, Commissioners, for having me here today to provide an update of the activities of the North Louisiana Economic Partnership.
Thank you and welcome.
You should be receiving a written report as well as for you to consider as I'm gonna wait till y'all get those before I start going through this so y'all can follow along. So it's been an active year as we reach the midway point through 2019. We've had one project win so far this year, and we have several other things that I think will culminate in positive economic development news for Caddo Parish. We worked with Super ATV, a company that rehabbed a building off of South Uri. We started working with them last October, and they announced a few months ago, and we'll actually have a grand opening for that company on July 27th, and Governor Edwards is planning on coming to that grand opening, and you'll all be invited to that. I know Ms. Gage Watts provided a quote for when we did the announcement for that several months ago.
Yes, sir.
If you look through on page 4 and 5, you'll see the projects of sites that we submitted in Caddo Parish specifically. As you're aware, we're a regional economic development group, but we had 34 different projects that considered Caddo Parish that are still, many of them are still in activity in the parish, and we're still working on several. And you can see what properties were submitted. You can see where the lead came from. You can see what type of project it is. We do not give the names of the projects because confidentiality and some of the things that we deal with, but I can say that overall 63% of the leads that we're working on were generated by NLEP. So that's a significant change from where it was 4 or 5 years ago. Some of the outreach we've done so far this year, we went to the Heli Expo in Atlanta with SWEPCO. That was a helicopter trade show. Our primary purpose for going to that was to look at things related to helicopter manufacturing. Metro Aviation was a great partner. We worked with them on that particular endeavor. They actually got me a badge to go into the facility. Eric Basinger, the economic development manager of SWEPCO, and I rented a car while we were in Atlanta, drove up to Greenville, South Carolina, and met with several site consultants that are based in Greenville while we were there to leverage our time in that area, and had some great input from those visits. Sheena Bryant, our Vice President of Business Development Strategy, went to 2 Industrial Asset Management Council meetings this year, one in Dallas, which is more of their regional meeting, and then went out to one in California, that's their big national meeting. And the IAMC is basically the real estate divisions of Fortune 500 companies. KCS Railroad was there, and we built some good relationships with them. We're actually working on a project in Caddo Parish involving KCS, and working with Chris Carucci and some of the folks that we've met through IMC on that project. We do existing industry visits. If you look at, so far this year, we've visited 11 companies in Caddo Parish. Those 11 companies have a cumulative total of over 2,200 employees. All of them report back to us as being stable and have no intent for layoffs in their foreseeable future. One initiative that we started that we coordinate is a group called Tech by 20. That's a group of technology-related individuals. We host a monthly networking event at Red River Brewing. We've also expanded that to have some subgroups. DEFCON 318, that's a group that's involved with defense contractors in the IT sector. And also we've started a CIO and CTO roundtable. We've had one of our mitzers at Red River Brewing, we've had 100 people there. So there's a lot of interest with that particular group. Many of y'all know that we do the ACT Work Ready Communities Initiative. Caddo Parish, if you look at Caddo Parish, our goal is to get 179 employees involved with ACT Work Keys. We've got 62 signed up so far. We have over 1,600 certificates. We had a goal of 1,600 ACT Work Key certificates. We've already surpassed 4,000 in Caddo Parish. And that was really a response to our education metrics in North Louisiana. When you look at our college attainment rates and you look at our high school graduation rates, sometimes they don't benchmark well against some of our competitor communities. This was a way for us to measure our workforce and give them a credential that we could show site consultants and decision makers to validate our workforce. We also were active during the legislative session. I'm a registered lobbyist. We have a separate group that does this, a PAC, and then Ashley's a registered lobbyist. Most Tuesdays we are at the Capitol hosting a delegation breakfast. We were involved in the I-49 intercity connector behind the scenes. We did a lot of phone calls and a lot of work on that initiative. We were very involved in lobbying for statewide rules on ride sharing, which is important. For instance, if you're in DeSoto Parish and you want to come into Caddo Parish, if there's a Lyft driver, you can take a ride now. So it gives more commonality and helps a lot with the ride sharing process. So you can see we've been pretty active in Caddo Parish so far this year. Ashley Busada is here, and she's the parish liaison on our staff for Caddo Parish as well as me. So anytime you have any issues, feel free to come to me or Ashley for any assistance. But I wanted to come before you and give you this update of where we are year to date with activities specifically relating to Caddo Parish.
Well, Scott, thank you very much for that detailed report, as well as giving us this brochure to peruse for some of the goals that you have already benchmarked, as well as showing the certified sites and as well as some of our wins.
Yeah, we're still working on one other certified site in Caddo Parish, that being the Highway 1 Leonard Road site. So far, we've worked to get over 1,700 acres certified in Caddo Parish. And what that means is there's been a lot of due diligence given to the site as far as phase 1 environmentals, archaeological surveys, lots of things that really, utility assessments that make the site more attractive to potential users.
That's great. I'm looking forward to seeing even more certified sites become available all throughout Caddo Parish, but I'm extremely excited to see at least 2 in my district as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
We have one commissioner on the board, Commissioner Mike Middleton.
Hey, Scott, I attended last week, so I've just given my pamphlet back to Haley. We're asking that if you got any extras, provide them to the media
We do.
that are here today. So that'd be good. That's it. Thank you for what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank y'all for your support.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Dr. Wilson?
President Watson, I'm elated to have in our presence today the Executive Director for the State Police Service Association, Mr. Guy Cormier, and he's going to come give us a brief update on the legislative priorities that happened this past year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
We're extremely honored to have you.
Well, thank you so much,
for
Madam.
coming.
Thank you, Madam
You're
President.
welcome.
First, let me just introduce myself. I'm Guy Cormier. Like Dr. Wilson said, I am the new Executive Director of the Police Jury Association starting March 1st of this year. So just want you to know, prior to that, I actually sat in your shoes. I served 18 and a half years in local government, 4 years as a parish council member, and in my parish, we had a parish president, or a home rule charter form of government, and I served 14 and a half years as a parish president. So I know what you go through every day, and I want to thank you for your commitment to the citizens that stand behind me and sit behind me, because you go to the bat for them every day on issues that concern them. I also, there's no stranger to this particular area, because I see a lot of familiar faces, people who are extremely active in our association, and I want to thank you for being members of our association, one of the charter members of the Police Jury Association dating back to 1924. And Dr. Wilson's very involved. Madam President Gage is the Black Caucus president right now. Todd's very involved as well. Mr. Jimmy Whittington, former employee Randy Lucky, were both very involved in OPAO. And Mr. Robert Glass is also involved in not only OPAO, but our Supervisors and Engineers Association. So thank you for letting them do what they do. But I couldn't stand here and not talk about a couple guys that I got to know personally. The president, one of the former presidents, statewide presidents that I actually followed, Mr. David Cox, who served your parish for a number of years, I think term limited out.
Yes.
And probably my favorite president out of all, the late Mr. Carl Pearson. If you remember Mr. Pearson, I know you all did, he was the tallest president, and of course I was the shortest president to ever serve. But we served on the executive board at the same time, and we had a lot of conversations about I-49 North and I-49 South.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch it yet, you can tell I'm from Acadiana, I'm from Bullbridge, and we've been trying to champion an I-49 project, much like you have done here, and using you as an example of why we need to finish Interstate 49 from start to finish. So I just want to thank those guys for their commitment in helping us. Just a quick overview of what we do. You all understand what we do, but for the audience members, we pretty much on a daily basis are connecting local governments with other local governments who are in need. We do a lot of that every day. I got a call this morning, a parish going through renewing garbage contracts, a brand new administration there, not familiar with it, connected them with a parish president a parish government who just went through it. We do that. We provide health care and workers' comp benefits. We have you, as members of the association, have your own insurance company, so we provide insurance for parish governments who are looking. We ask that when your workers' comp and your health care insurance comes up, just give us an opportunity to bid. We're finding out that we're very competitive in a lot of cases, so we would ask that you would do that. We lobby for you on a state and federal level, and so I'm going to give you a legislative update in a minute. And for the most part, we're very involved on your behalf in NACO. And just so that you know, and some of you are on NACO, if you want to serve again next year as far as a committee goes, committee assignments are up right now. We'll be sending an email out tomorrow or Wednesday. Let us know what you want to serve and what capacity you want to serve on what committee, and we'll provide those names to NACO so that they can make those appointments. Just real quick, wanted to give you an update on some of the things that actually Mr. Scott and Ashley talked about relative to the 2019 regular session. I came on board last year as your lobbyist, working for parish government or police jury association. And it was a year I'll probably never forget, because we had not just one regular session, but 3 special sessions to try to fix our budget. I'm happy to say that the 2019-2020 budget has been approved, and it looks as though we did very well. In today's times, all you ask for is what you had maybe last year, because last year we did okay. And I'm happy to say that the budget includes $46.6 million worth of parish transportation fund. That is our gas tax that we pay at the pumps. That is our portion coming back to the parishes. So you get a portion of that. Your road crew gets a portion of that to be able to spend on road maintenance inside of Caddo Parish. So that was made whole. We also got $5 million for Louisiana Government Assistance Program. It's a project. It's a program that you all qualify for, with the exception of the city of Shreveport. There's the rules that was set up. There's maybe 8 big cities that don't qualify, but you do qualify as a parish governing authority to get monies to do projects like to maybe buy equipment for fire stations or firemen, and equipment for public works and a number of things. We had $5 million in it last year. We got $5 million again in it this year. The Community Water Enrichment Fund. We had $5 million in it last year. We got another $5 million for this year, and that is money that comes to water districts within your parish that are in probably need right now. We are noticing statewide that one of our biggest problems is municipal and private-owned water systems. In the 60s, there was a in the 1960s, there was a federal program that came in and provided money to drop in infrastructure to provide potable water to a lot of communities. And so we all went and did it, and we haven't done a good job of maintaining those systems, and they're starting to show their age. So this Community Water Enrichment Fund, although it's $5 million statewide, it helps a lot of systems just keep themselves going. So we were happy with the way the budget played out, and that was a big win for us. Another big win for us is our key issues this year were central sales tax collection and trying to defeat the state trying to come in and provide one central sales tax collector for the state. We just feel like they're not in the same position we are in to be able to collect our own taxes. If we do anything right in parish governments or in parishes throughout Louisiana, we do a good job of collecting our own taxes. We do got a good job of auditing the businesses that collect taxes for us. And so we were able to defeat a bill that was going to force us to all do a statewide system, one system in general. At our convention, I spoke about it. We passed a resolution. I think you guys passed a resolution actually asking the state to defeat this, and we were able to get that done. One of the other things we did was there was 5 bills that would have either completely done away with our authority or limited our authority as far as ITEP applications go. If you're familiar with ITEP, I think y'all have had some that have come your way since 2016, where it's an industrial tax exemption program that the state provides to business and industry who wants to come in and set up in Caddo Parish and provide jobs and infrastructure. We all about the program. We support the program. But prior to 2016, the program has always exempted parish taxes only. No state taxes involved. Yet the state was making the decision on whether they should give away the parish's taxes or not. To say we had no voice would not be a true statement. We had a couple members who served on the board of commission that was set up statewide to be able to give these exemptions. But now, Governor Edwards had signed an executive order allowing us, as governing authorities, to be able to decide if we want to exempt those taxes or not. So we were able to defeat all 5 bills that were going to either limit or remove our authority completely. So we're still in the same boat we're in prior to the session starting up. That was big for us. And I just run down, I got like 10 bills, but I'm not going to go through all of them, but some things that may or may not affect you here. House Bill 281 was one that we fought, openly fought. House Bill 281 would have provided, it would have eliminated governing authorities, local governing authorities, to have stronger gun bills than the state would have. So if, for instance, if the state law said that you can have a gun inside of a public park, but in Caddo Parish you said no, although the state law says that, we don't want them in our public parks, that bill would have eliminated that authority. So we said no, we want to be able to maintain that authority. We want to be able to have stricter gun laws in cases where we feel need to happen. Think about this for a second. If New Orleans didn't have a law in the books that says you can't have a gun inside of a club on Bourbon Street, the state says you can. And so, but in New Orleans, you can't. It would have eliminated that, and imagine that, although there's a lot of stuff happening on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, on the street itself, the law now says you can't have a gun inside of it. That would have eliminated it. So we fought that and were able to defeat that law. It actually passed out the House, but we were able to defeat it on the Senate side. Just wanting to keep our authority in that figure, dealing with gun control. One of the other things that didn't pass that we were supporting was a local government infrastructure bank that Treasurer Schroeder had talked to us about. I think Mr. Chavez had actually asked a couple questions at our legislative day, which would have provided some monies from unclaimed properties for us to be able to borrow if we needed to do certain projects. The bill went through the House pretty easily. When it got on the Senate side, there was a discussion where the money was actually placed right now. They determined that the money in unclaimed properties is actually in the general fund, and they did not want to start moving that around until they got a good grasp of where we are from a budget perspective and how we pay in our bills from a state's perspective, not us. But we supported that bill, and it ultimately failed. But we'll try again next year. One of the other things that you never know, we're sitting here in Caddo Parish, and although we have casinos, and when you walk out this, you can look and see them. Where there's only one land-based casino in Louisiana, and that's at Harrah's Casino. We were able to cut a deal knowing that Harrah's wanted to renew their contract for another 30 years with the state. We were able to cut a deal saying that if the state did that, that Harrah's would provide $5 million additional dollars to the Community Water Enrichment Fund. And so you heard me say the budget has $5 million in it. We now have $10 million because the Harrah's bill actually plugs in another $5 million. So we're going to double the size of that grant program just by working with the legislators to make sure that we're on even keel with them. House Bill 466 is actually, it streamlines the process. I don't know if you have the same issues other parishes, and I'm sure you do, with adjudicated properties and how hard they are to put back into commerce. House Bill 466 streamlines that process. We supported that bill from jump. We testified on behalf of all of you, and it passed out the House and the Senate with no votes against it. So that'll kind of streamline and help us get things, adjudicated properties, back into commerce a little bit better. He already talked about the Transportation Network Bill, better known as the Uber Lyft Bill. You can now take as of, I think 2 weeks ago when the governor signed the bill, you can take a Lyft from here and go to Bossier Parish with no problems, and likewise from Bossier to here. Prior to that, those guys were operating it. They were doing it, but legally, if something would have happened, there would have been a little strap. But now there's a statewide law that regulates the way they operate in every city across Louisiana. So we were proponents of that. We had some areas that, I can tell you, Houma, Louisiana, that's why the governor signed the bill there. As big as Houma is, has a university and everything, they had no Uber or Lyft because the rules weren't in place. But this is going to allow them to go and set up. And the last thing I'll mention is the Deepwater Horizon Settlement Package Bill. It was briefly mentioned, House Bill 578. Happy to say that the I-49 North Inner City Connector in Caddo Parish is going to receive $100 million, but they're going to marry that to some other money. So that $100 million will probably go a little bit further. The overall package of that bill was, it started out as a $225,000 bill, a $225 million bill, and it's the BP oil spill settlement. And it was only 2 projects that were in parishes that really saw the effects of the BP oil spill. Once that bill started working through the process, it was amended to put $700 million into the bill. But I can tell you, one of the criteria to get a project into the bill was to be able to, if the project was going to be, it had to be kind of shovel-ready in a sense, but had to be able to marry up, or had to have the ability to marry up to get some money somewhere else. So they're going to take the $700 million and probably turn it into $1.1 billion infrastructure in Louisiana, and that's a good thing. So we just excited about that. In closing, again, let me just thank those who are either term limited out or choosing not to run for re-election. Thank you for your commitment to the citizens of Caddo Parish, to the Police Jury Association, and to those of you who are running for re-election in the fall. I wanted to wish you best of luck. I've been in your position a few times. I was fortunate that I only ran one time, and went unopposed 5 other times. And it's kind of a, you say, well, you only did 18 and a half years, but I ran in a special election for parish president and won. But so I only had to run 1 time. But I know the feelings and the nervousness about this time of the year. But y'all have done a fantastic job. Don't think that we don't watch what goes on over here in Baton Rouge. We do. We pay attention to every parish government, and especially the big cities and big parishes. And we want, again, just thank you for having us. And in closing, I'm excited to announce that next year, although it's 2020, it seems like it's not that far away, but keep in mind we're in the middle of June already. On February 12th through 14th, the state annual convention will be held here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I can't say enough about the Hilton staff and the convention center staff. This is the first time that I have to plan a convention. And it's been amazing to work with those folks, amazing. And so when you see them, just tell them thank you on our behalf. But we'll be here, and all of our members will be here again next year from February 12th through 14th. I'll maybe take any questions if you have any.
Mr. Comerrier, I just want to say thank you personally for coming over to Caddo Parish to share a legislative update with us. We know that this information that you have shared with us is vital to the pulse of our communities in which we represent. We know you don't have to, but we're grateful that you decided to come over here to Caddo Parish to share that, especially with us. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. You're doing an amazing job. I'm glad to be able to work with you, so thank you.
Thanks a million. Appreciate it.
Don't have any other commissioners on board? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dr.
President
Wilson.
Watson, I just want to make you all aware that the May financial report is at your stations. We should have a copy of it. I just have one other presentation I'd like to make.
Let's go into the floor.
Righty. President Gage Watts, Commissioners, I informed the board a few weeks ago that I will begin the process to select an assistant parish administrator to work with me, and I'm here to report to you that my task was complete. I provided all my directors and assistant directors an opportunity to apply for the position if they had the interest in serving on an interim basis as assistant parish administrator, which also will allow me an opportunity to evaluate the effectiveness of my decision. I'm pleased to inform you all that I have selected among a group of highly qualified individuals, and let me speak 1 minute about that. Out of 14 directors, 6 applied for the position, and they all are quite capable and can serve in this position, and the competition was very keen. But I'm also proud to let you all know that I've selected among a group of highly qualified individuals, Ms. Erica Bryant. Erica's credentials are impeccable. She is a career professional with more than 25 years of work experience. She has been a member of Team Caddo for the past 22 years, and having served as the Director of Human Resources in the Department of Finance and the Finance Department Director for the past 15 years. She's an exceptionally well-accomplished certified public accountant. She is the Chief Architect of the Parish of Caddo, being in the position of achieving and maintaining a AAA bond rating. For the past 9 years under her leadership, the Finance Department has earned the Certificate of Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting. Notwithstanding, she has been instrumental in the organization being awarded the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from GOFA for the past 16 years. Career highlights: Ms. Erica Bryan is the past president for the Caddo Bossier Port Commission. She is Louisiana Government Finance Officer Association past state president. She is a national certified and credentialed human resource senior professional. Well beyond the walls of the organization, Erica serves on numerous community boards and serves as a member and treasurer. Educational accomplishments: Erica started real early in life. She was a valedictorian of her high school class. She earned a bachelor's degree in accounting, magna cum laude. She earned an MBA from LSUS, graduating with a GPA of 3.8. During the course of the interview with Erica, I felt a slight draft on my feet. And it occurred to me that she blew my socks off with all her responses. And she is quite a capable person. Now, if any of you all may feel slightly nervous about whether or not she's changing seats and about the financial piece, unlike Elvis, she is not leaving the building. She's just changing positions. And she'll still be here, and she'll have oversight over this operation. When I asked Erica to share with me what's your goals for the organization and helping me better manage the administration, here's what she said. Her goal was a safe and caring community, healthy economy, improved communications plan, broader civic engagement, and greater accountability. That was her goals. Unrehearsed, unscripted, right off the cuff. For the past 13 years since I've been the parish administrator, whenever Randy and I will be out of town, I've always designated Erica to be the person in charge. So she's been bootlegging this job for quite a while. Wow. So today we're just going to make it official. And certainly Erica had done an exceptional job leading her department, and she has put in place a very highly skilled team of professionals behind her that will continue the journey. So I'm confident as we work together to move things forward that she'll be an excellent assistant parish administrator for the parish of Caddo. So Erica, congratulations, and my new right-hand man.
Congratulations, Mrs. Erica Bryant.
Thank you, thank you. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the commission as well as Dr. Wilson for the support you provided through the years, and I am looking forward to working with each and every one of you as we work to continue to support the citizens of Caddo Parish. I would especially like to recognize the members of the finance team who are here today to support me. They have done nothing but support me through the years, and I don't think that I could be standing here today without the help of the finance team. I think that you'll have a very capable person in Ms. Haley Barnett as she serves as interim finance director. I look forward to helping to grow and enrich Caddo Parish as we continue to meet the needs of the citizens in an ever-changing environment. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
President Walter, here's my report for the day, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. And Mrs. Bryan, we are confident that as you have always been of excellence, that you will continue to walk in that excellence. We're very proud to have you as our interim assistant CEO.
Thank you.
I see no other comments. Mr. Clerk?
Next, we move to commission remarks, communiques, reports, and other items related to the work session agenda.
Thank you, Finance Department, for coming down. We have none. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
President's report.
I'll hold it to Thursday.
We have no old business. We move to new business. Authorized introduction to ordinance number 5887 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $43,000 to provide an appropriation of $20,000 to Providence House, $15,000 to Hope Connection, and $8,000 to Northwest Louisiana Golf and Education Foundation.
So move to advance third.
Second.
Okay, it's moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson, and that was second by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
Yes. And Madam President, just a point of clarification. This actually came by the NGO committee meeting.
Okay.
So I guess they call it appropriation.
Yes, that's what Todd always labels it, as appropriations committee.
Formerly known as appropriation. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. I see no further discussion. Please vote. Okay, and that passes 10-1. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorized introduction of ordinance number 5888 of 2019, amending the budget estimate revenues and expenditures for the Public Works Fund and Capital Outlay Fund in the amount of $50,000 to provide an appropriation to install welcome signs on I-49.
Move to advance.
Second. It was moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson and second by the chair. See no discussion?
Yeah, one
Okay,
question.
Commissioner Dominic.
Will they be, right when you're entering Caddo Parish from Arkansas and from?
Yes, one from the Arkansas side, and then the other one will be from the DeSoto Parish
Okay,
side.
all right.
Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Robert, do we have current signs now that identify that you're entering Caddo Parish?
No. Well, we should do.
You know,
Several green ones.
We have some small signs that are, about as big as this booklet. And for this, we will still have to get DOTD approval, and it'll also have to be approved by the federal government. And it'll be a long process, but we could use some direction on what type of sign you want. Do you want a sign? I've heard different things, sort of
like a mini brick wall.
the-
What a nice one.
a brick and mortar sign,
mortar
something
sign.
like that. So, but we will have to submit a plan to DOTD, and they'll have to approve it.
Brick and mortar with the Caddo logo, nice sign, not skipping sign.
Do any of the other 63 parishes have big, nice brick signs?
Go look at 220 going in both
You can
parishes.
find them in Bossier, going into Bossier City, but that's on private property. This will be a little bit different deal. Going on 220 into Bossier.
Across the Red River?
Yeah.
Going across the river, yeah.
I just, $50,000, it has my address on the front of my doorstep, and in equivalency, I wouldn't want to pay $150 for my address to be a little bit nicer on my front door. People come to my house, they know where it's at. People come to Caddo Parish, they know where it's at. $50,000 seems pretty expensive for a sign. So do we think maybe we should study to see how much the sign's going to cost? And, long-term effects, you get a car wreck on the side of the highway, somebody runs into this nice brick sign, and we're back here coming to the piggy bank trying to fix this nice sign. People know they're coming here. We got a metal sign, it says where we're at. MapQuest shows where we're at. President, that's all.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Mike Middleton.
Thank you. I'm going to support this, only if it will have an American flag also associated with it. I just think flags look good on the side of the road, and for veterans and military folks, I think it always looks good. So I just hope it has that incorporated into either that and/or all the military branches emblems. Because it's hard to maintain flags; they get tattered and all. So something of that nature to recognize our military and our veterans and our country. But I think it's a great idea, and I think it should be, if we do that, it should be 50,000 here and 50,000 up there for 100,000. That's it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. As you're entering some cities and some other counties, you see these nice signs that says "Welcome to whatever parish, county, city it is." When you come in Shreveport on I-20, when you get by the airport, there's a sign there that says "Welcome to Shreveport," and it has flags sitting up there. When you're on 220 going into Bossier, there's a sign saying "Welcome to Bossier." So, this is not just going to be the only one that's in this region. There are other ones that are also here. We ought to take pride in Caddo Parish, and to have a little skimpy sign this size says "Entering Caddo Parish," it's a joke. Let's put some out there, and actually you can put some out there and have other organizations, if they want to put their logo on there, they can pay the parish to put their logo on there. And that's money coming back in. The $50,000 is to say up to $50,000. We didn't want to underbid and then have to come back and say, well, I need $5,000 more to finish the second sign. I know how y'all operate. So I'm going to say $50,000, and then basically we work the signs down to a figure that we get both of them in, have two signs that's real nice, and we put them in the spot. Really shouldn't have this much discussion on it, but it's fine. The signs are needed. There are none. I would have put more signs, but if we're going from the east, you coming right into Shreveport on I-20. So that's in Shreveport, not Caddo Parish. There's no parish. So in I-49 north, you come into the parish first before you come into a city. And south, you come into the parish first before you come into the city. So, and when they're coming from the west, you coming into Bethany, and Greenwood. So that's already covered by cities. So that's why I didn't choose them. These are ones that are actually the parish. I'm sticking to what we supposed to do, parish stuff. I'm through, Madam President.
Gotta love it, President. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, is this the special revenue fund? Eric? Or are you in your new role today? Is this a special?
I am in a new role.
My
He
bad.
acts as a special role.
I'm so sorry.
This is coming from the Public Works Fund, which is a special revenue fund.
Is that my favorite one, the one with the $20 million in it? Or is it the other one?
It has a decent fund.
What's the fund balance, which y'all know, just roundabout? It doesn't have to be.
Right at 19 million.
Okay, all right, thank
So
you.
they ain't gonna hurt it.
Thank you, that's it for me, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
Thank you, Madam President. In conjunction with Commissioner Middleton's vigorous support of this, I would also suggest that instead of just having the American flag, we also put the state flag up in the parish flag. But Commissioner Johnson, I think this is a great idea. Thanks. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Carthorne. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
As far as welcoming people into Caddo Parish, I would hope that we could get with the state on Highway 79 between I-20 and the Texas state line, because when you travel that, as soon as you hit Caddo Parish, it goes ba-bump, ba-bump, ba-bump. And then as soon as you're in Caddo Parish and you hit Texas, it's
Yeah.
So it would be really nice to welcome people with a decent road. Thank you.
It's like leaving ours and Wizard of Oz. It's just like that.
That's all, Madam.
They are in the process of that.
So I'm looking forward to their resolution to the state, Commissioner Lynn.
I think that just needs to be some
Yes.
long overdue phone calls.
All right. I see no further discussion. Please vote.
Mr. Chavez?
Okay, and that passes 10-1. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, authorize introduction of ordinance number 5889 of 2019, declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus. Authorize the parish administrator designee to sell the parish.
So move
Parish
to
tax
advance to
increase.
Thursday.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson, and that was second by Vice President Chavez. Please vote. And that passes 11-0. Next
Authorize-
item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize resolution number 50, 2019, urging requesting the city of Shreveport to enact a moratorium on issuing permits for payday loan shops and pawn shops.
So move to Thursday.
Second.
Okay, I have a substitute motion, or do we need this? Let me ask a question first. May I ask a question, point of clarification, before I make this motion?
You're the chair.
Okay.
Yeah, there you are.
Does this resolution include the parish of Caddo for a moratorium on issuing permits?
No.
No. This is to the city. You would not, you would do your own moratorium in the parish. You would need to issue a resolution for that because that would be your decision. However, you don't have any pawn shops to pay their loans in the parish.
Okay.
So this is just a request to the city where they actually exist.
So would we need, so we couldn't do an amendment to this one, we would need to do a separate one just for the parish?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think we should lead by example, and I'll be presenting one as well. Because we do not, at this time, does not mean that someone is not looking or interested in doing some business in the parish for a pawn shop or a payday loan. Thank you. Commissioner Dominic.
Donna, didn't we get into the legal ability for whether we could do that or not?
Doing what now?
Can we legally, let's say, of course it's not on the table, but can we legally pass a ordinance? I thought it was governed by the MPC and the zoning rules.
What you do
Can we
is-
pass a resolution, put a moratorium on payday loans
You-
and pawn shops in Caddo Parish?
In Caddo Parish, you would pass an ordinance because you make the ordinance that the MPC enforces within their zone.
So you're talking about, if we're talking about passing an ordinance within the parish, so up in the rural areas, we said no payday loans, no pawn shops. We can legally do that. We can legally tell people what they can and can't do.
You-
Aren't you subjecting yourself to the
You can pass
Constitution?
a moratorium if you have sufficient reason in the zone, area that's zoned.
Well, these areas in rural Caddo
Well, no,
Parish
we're
are
not,
gonna be
we're
zoned.
not talking about those areas. You
You're
don't
talking
have,
about, you're talking about within the 5 mile
it's
limit.
within the 5 mile radius. That's what you can zone.
But you still gotta have a reason for doing it.
You do.
So we're going to come up with some type of reason, I guess.
Yes, you
Okay.
will.
Only other thing is, I would say, we kind of beat this horse to death last month, so hopefully we don't have to continue to discuss it. We know how we're gonna vote. I know how I'm gonna vote. You should know how you're gonna vote. Let's just vote on this and move it on. Instead of sitting here an hour and going over rehashing everything.
Thank you, Commissioner Dominique.
Or not.
Commissioner Lynn Carthorne?
Yes, Commissioner Dominique answered half of the question that I had. And in as much as what he's discussed, are you gonna, your wording will be not a moratorium, but to outlaw? I guess the point I'm driving is that instead of a moratorium, since we don't have any existing, what you're suggesting is gonna be not to allow any at all, and we'll have to look at the legal ramifications.
Right, we'll get
Okay.
with legal on the actual wording for the resolution for the parish.
Okay, thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to make sure that we're clear on what we're doing here. This is requesting a moratorium. This is not putting anybody out of business. This is not saying anybody that's in business now has to shut down. This is simply advancing a motion to Thursday to ask the city council to take a look at this. There's been some discussion. There's going to continue to be some discussion. Attorney Frazier pointed out that you have to have a reason, the reason why, and I think we discussed the reason why we didn't put forth a parish resolution was that we did not have any. I fully support enacting a moratorium anywhere on payday loans. But this particular piece of legislation in front of you is focusing on areas that are concentrated and saturated with payday lending. And so when the issue comes up out in the parish, that's something that we'll have to have a conversation about. But I want to make sure that we understand what is before us. What is before us is talking about asking the city council to enact a moratorium, which they have done before. That is what got us the 1,000 feet limitation. All we're doing is asking for a moratorium because these payday lending institutions tend to saturate areas that are deprived of traditional financial means. This morning I did an interview at a Chase Bank that's closed on 70th Street with a payday loan place across the street. And so what message are we sending to our community when we continue to allow this? We have the ability to regulate, not necessarily regulate it, but we have the ability to curb this type of action. And so I just want to be clear on what is before us today and not get the two confused. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson?
Call for the question.
Second.
Okay, the question has been called by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, and that was second by Commissioner Mike Middleton. Please vote on calling for the question. Okay, and the question has been called. Please vote on the agenda item, resolution number 50.
Did anybody need to abstain this time?
Everybody's fingers ready.
Chavez?
It doesn't like when I press no.
Okay, and that passes 6-5 with no abstain. Okay,
Next, we move to authorize resolution number 51 of 2019 to promote investments in young children and families from prenatal to 3.
so move to Thursday.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by the chair and second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. See no discussion, please vote. And that passes 11-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize resolution number 52 of 2019 declaring Caddo Parish the original home and birthplace of Southern Soul music.
So moved to Thursday.
Second was moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by the chair. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, are you on board?
Yes.
Okay.
So, are we saying that Caddo Parish is like Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
About Old City.
That's it?
It'll go on the sign.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, because I didn't want people to think that it's Shreveport and Jackson, Mississippi, and then Caddo Parish, all three trying to vie for the same title. So I just want to make sure that we're aligned with Shreveport and not opposing.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Yes, that was part of my clarification. And I also wanted to just kind of give some context that I guess we could say our brothers and sisters to the east, Jackson, Mississippi, and all due respect to Mayor Chuckway Lumumba, and but we have it documented that Caddo Parish, Shreveport, Louisiana, 1963, with the late Stan Lewis and his son Lenny Lewis. Garland Jones reached out to me, and he indicated that, you know, this is just some inaccurate information, and so we wanted to make sure that we clarify the public record on this matter. We also want to send this down to our lieutenant governor, who's responsible for culture and tourism here. I like the idea of actually putting it on the sign, Commissioner Chavez. But we just want
a big sign.
we just wanted to clarify.
50 grand can buy a big sign.
You know how you go through Hope, Arkansas, it says the home of Bill Clinton or the birthplace of Bill Clinton. So, you know, if we're gonna make it official, make it official. But we know that Shreveport is home to many things, and Southern Soul is one of those. And I think it's very befitting that we're here in African American Music Month. It's June, and we're also going to be celebrating Let the Good Times Roll Festival, which is a recognition of music, art, and culture. So that's what the reason for this is for, and probably we'll have another amendment on Thursday to send this to someone else as well, but we'll get that to you. That's it for me, Madam President.
All right. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Yeah, in the spirit of compromise, I don't see anything controversial, so I'll move Thursday.
What?
Authorize resolution number 52, 53, the appointment to sewer district, and Commissioner Johnson, did you have an item on there too?
We have three
We've got
agenda
three
items.
agenda additions. And the three agenda additions.
I don't know what all they were. I
Just say yeah. Just-
Okay, the three agenda additions.
Second.
Okay, and that was moved to englobe the items that Commissioner Doug Dominic just stated, and that was second by Commissioner Mike Middleton.
I did.
So instead of saying agenda additions, we need to say resolution number 54. Resolution recognition of Miss Lisa K. Ivory, and authorizing Friends of Row Omega and Friends for visitor June 20th.
Okay,
That's exactly correct.
all right. Commissioner Lynn Carthorne, are you still on the board?
Oh, yes, I just wanted to ask Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, sir.
That the genre of music that we refer to as Southern Soul, what is that? That's a blend of jazz?
Jazz and blues, I believe. I would say jazz and blues, and instead of just using blues, because I think blues is going to be your more Muddy Waters type of B.B. King. That's your blues.
So it's essentially a genre of its own.
Correct.
Like offshoot of the
Correct.
ragtime jazz. or
Correct.
something. Okay, absolutely. Thanks.
Todd, you'll have that.
And
Yes, sir.
well, I'll get with you on that.
Okay, I see no further discussion. Please vote. And that passes 11-0.
That took us to communication committee reports.
Well, I have one. I didn't see anyone else on the board. The Juvenile Justice Committee met today to discuss the 17-year-old raise the age mandate and discuss further plans of actions going forward, as well as establishing a youth panel. We'll continue the discussion at our next meeting. Vice President Chavez?
Thank you, President.
Okay. That'll be all from me. All right, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to citizen comments, late arrivals. I have 2 cards.
Okay.
I have Miss Barbara Smith Vega. Vega, is that correct?
Ms. Barbara Smith.
Iverson.
Iverson.
Oh, okay, well, that. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Barbara Smith Iverson, business address.
You don't have to give your address.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Iverson. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, very good. And I'm going to be very brief. This resolution, number 50, is long overdue. Predatory lending is what I'm speaking about, is simply an unethical practice. When you calculate the number of payday loans and pawn shops in many of the African American communities, there are many. But what's most disturbing is how long they've been there, sucking the blood out of the people. High interest loans contribute to poverty by ruining people's credit, leaving a heavy burden with unmanageable debt on people. And even worse, sometimes it leaves people homeless. Predatory lending is unfair, it's misleading, and have unfavorable terms that generally benefit the lender, leaving no recourse for the borrowers. I'm asking for a halt in issuing payday loan permits until there is a solid plan to address poverty in these neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Iverson, for your comment.
Next, we have Mr. Marvin Muhammad.
Mr. Marvin Muhammad.
Marvin Muhammad, Madam President,
Good
Commission.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You have 3 minutes. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. After those comments, I almost passed. She actually said exactly what needed to be said. At the end of the day, payday loan institutions, pawn shops, they actually suck the very life out of the black community. As it's been said, high fees, high interest rates robs consumers, robs everyday citizens of equity, increases debt, it lowers self-esteem, robs the family of precious assets that's been pawned, and hoping and wishing and praying that maybe I can get that item back. Pawn shops, unfortunately, and while we're not against entrepreneurship, we're not against those who seek to build enterprises, but when payday loan institutions become the substitute for banking, it's a problem. As Commissioner Jackson stated, we commend him for Resolution 50, I believe, in Commissioner Carthorne District, out there where the old Chase Bank is. There's now conversations to put something there that would actually, if you will, because a lot of times people see crime in the community, wonder, well, how does that crime exist? Well, these institutions are, if you will, warehouses for crime. You know, people steal, people burglarize, and I can walk to the pawn shop. We don't need any more of that. We need banking institutions, which I believe the community is striving to put forth and whatnot. But we really need to move forward. I want to commend this commission to continue the conversation on Thursday. And thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir.
Madam President.
That's it, Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah, I had to step out. I had an emergency call come in, and I missed the comments, communiques.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I apologize. Dr. Wilson, just wanted to, commend you on the announcement for Ms. Bryan. I think that's a great choice, and her team left. Never have an issue when I call up to get information from really any of our departments, to be honest with you. So I just wanted to commend you on that announcement and appreciate you for giving the due diligence on that. Wanted to also ask, I don't know if he's gone, the Police Jury Association guy. Okay, it's part of it being short, huh? I'm sorry. You mentioned the unclaimed property piece, and I appreciate everybody for indulging me. I wanted to just kind of wait until it communicates to do this. The unclaimed property piece. Could we have a conversation about how that would be kind of proportionate to the parishes? Because one of my concerns, and I expressed it to several of our delegation members, one of the concerns that I had was, for example, if Caddo Parish, or New Orleans, one of the larger parishes, had 30 million in unclaimed property, and I'm not picking on anybody, I'm just going to call one out of the air, Wynn Parish. Is it Wynn? Wynn Parish had 3 million in unclaimed property. Would they be able to borrow at the same rate as Caddo Parish or Orleans or one of the bigger parishes?
It's a great question. So let me just tell you, there's 800 million, and this is the treasurer that's just telling us, over $800 million of unclaimed property, monies that are supposedly sitting in the general, or supposed to be sitting in the general fund, to be able to pay people back if they were to actually fill out the paperwork, and because these people, this money is there because they seem to think that people either exist, or even if they don't exist, they have a family member that exists. So this property, this money is real. It's
Right.
I mean, they gave away $450,000, and they set up in the mall in New Orleans and gave away $450,000 in a matter of 4 hours. So I would challenge you all, and even the people that are watching this and the people sitting behind me, to go to Louisiana Treasurer's website. It's really, really simple to do. I actually had a $35 check on a deposit that I had given to Centerpoint Energy years ago on a rent house. I had no idea it existed. Filled out the paperwork, and within a matter of 3 days got my check. So there's a good possibility that you have money that you don't even know is sitting there. So long story short, there's about $800 million that's set aside to pay people back if that need be. That money's collecting interest. So what the treasurer's idea was he was gonna start out with about $20 million, put it in an infrastructure bank that could be used for projects no matter where you were.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, this is a loan, not a grant.
Right.
So they were going to limit the amount of loan, so it wouldn't, let's just say that New Orleans wanted to borrow all 20 million. They would not allow that to happen, okay? So this would be for smaller loans with really 0% interest. I think the rate they were giving us was less than 1%. It was like 0.025. It's like a crazy amount of interest rate. But again, the law says you can lend it, you can't give it away. And so the way it was set up, I think that they would talk. It never got really off the ground, but they were talking like the limit would be like $50,000. So if a parish had a fire district that was struggling to buy a piece of equipment or some bunker gear, they didn't have the $50,000 in hand, but they could generate $5,000 a year to pay it back. They would lend that fire district through Caddo Parish the $50,000, and the fire district would pay it back $5,000 per year for 10 years. Keep in mind the reason why they called it a revolving loan. When they would pay it back, somebody else could borrow it, and that's the way it worked. We never really got into specifics about who, if just because there was more unclaimed property money that was, I guess, I don't want to use the word earmarked, but was to be delivered in one specific area. They don't even know if those people still live there.
Right.
My check was in an address that I hadn't lived anymore. It was in St. Martinville, and I was actually living in Brobridge. But at any rate, that's kind of how it worked. We never got to that point.
Okay.
But there's going to be some more discussion of how we handle this moving forward. We're going to bring the bill again next year and ask all all of us to support it again, because we know there's a lot of parishes and municipalities out there that can't even, garner up $20,000 to replace a sewer pump that we all need a flusher taller than take a bath, and so that's kind of what it was geared towards.
Okay.
Smaller projects.
I got you. That makes sense now.
Yeah,
But
great
it's a
question.
very innovative way
Yeah,
to meet some challenges.
Yeah, we didn't steal the idea. Georgia actually does it.
Okay, great.
And so we were gonna not use Georgia's rules exactly, because I don't really like the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm more of a LSU Tiger fan. But at any rate, we weren't gonna reinvent the wheel. We were gonna take what they had and maybe cater it to more needs here.
And my last thing for you, Mr. Cromie, is, I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Okay.
You're one of the very few in Louisiana that can say my last name right.
Wow.
Dr. Wilson said it right. That's why y'all got it right.
I know Micah too, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Funny story.
Dr. Wilson, I've been having conversations with Erica about our health insurance over at the jail. I know that the state requires parishes to cover that cost.
Yes.
If we could start having a conversation with the state association about probably moving them off of our rolls onto the Medicaid rolls where we know they qualify for. Most of them are unemployed. How can we, and I think CMS has kind of left that to the states on that issue, and so I think there would be a significant cost savings, because at last look, I think we were spending $4 to $5 million on inmate health insurance.
Yeah.
And so, if we could work with Mr. Cromier
Yeah.
to,
Well, you have our commitment that it's actually going to be one of my priorities. It's funny that you must be reading my mind. I was sitting there actually just kind of making notes of things that I need to do moving forward. It's not only here, it's in every parish, and so there's a way to do it. We just all have to try to be on the same page to get it done. But that's forward thinking. That's the things that come out of Caddo Parish. I've always brought things that are forward thinking, and even to the point where your new assistant administrator is much better looking than Randy Duffy was. So you're continually making improvements. So.
No debate there. Well, thank you for coming up and have a safe trip home. And just wanted to close up with wanted to thank Juvenile Services. Wanted to thank Juvenile Services for the awesome health fair that they did. And I know we may have some more conversation about it, but it was a great opportunity for folks to get out and learn about the resources that they have. And thank you for also being a sponsor for our Housing Expo this past Saturday as well. A lot of folks attended, got the information that they needed, so we appreciate you. Thank you. That's up my comment.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, commission will convene into an executive session to discuss litigation.
Move to go into executive session.
Okay.
With the appropriate people that needs to be in here, which would be the administrator, the parish attorney, the interim assistant, parish administrator, clerk.
Communications.
Don't leave yet.
Communications.
And who?
Communications director.
And the communications director.
Okay. And it's been moved by Commissioner Linda B.
Second.
Johnson, and that was second by Commissioner Doug Dominic.
I have
Okay,
on board.
you on the board? Okay. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, I would like to make a substitute motion that we would discuss our case. We would not convene into executive session and discuss our case in public setting.
I didn't understand that.
Say that
Sorry.
again.
I'm making a substitute motion that instead of discussing the case in executive session, we would discuss it in open session.
I'll second that.
Okay, you have a substitute motion on the floor by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by Commissioner Mike Middleton. Okay. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Attorney Frazier, please give me your opinion on your recommendation for this scenario.
I don't recommend it.
Okay.
I do
Thank
make
you.
this motion. I do make this motion every executive session.
Commissioner
that's all,
Lyndon B.
President.
Johnson.
I was going to ask Donna the same thing. Is there something that we'll be talking about that needs to be in executive session as opposed to public meeting? You know,
Yes,
there's
sir.
some topics that you aren't supposed to talk about in public meetings. So, and that was yes, sir.
Yes.
That was yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
That was my question I was going to refer to. our legal for an opinion on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner John Atkins,
I had the same question for our legal counsel.
thank you. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
I would just say that based upon what our lawyers are saying, I, strongly advise that we adhere to what Ms. Frazier is recommending and that we have this in executive session. So I would ask that you vote no on Commissioner Jackson's motion and yes on Commissioner Johnson's motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Dominic. Please vote on the substitute motion first.
And just to be clear, that's Commissioner Johnson's motion.
That's Commissioner Jackson.
Jackson.
Jackson's is the okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for the clarity. And thank you.
Okay, and that passes 3-7.
That
Fails.
failed.
That's a substitute motion.
That's
fails.
substitute
I'm
motion
sorry.
fails.
I meant that passes to not. I'm sorry.
It
You're right.
failed.
It failed. That motion failed, so let's now vote on the original motion.
I tried.
Okay, and that passes 9-1. Okay? At this time, we will ask all parties to leave and.
Except for the ones that was in.
Except for the ones who were asked to stay. And we don't have Mr. Randy Lucky to guard the door. So, Ms. Erica Bryan, is that your job now?
Y'all already monitored that, man.
Send me your.
Does anyone need 5 minutes?
Text me right
quick. Yeah. We know
Text
each
me
other
so I can
through,
send it to you.
NLC, just new legal counsel and stuff like that. Matt Bailey. So yeah, great
Court
guy.
case with the money.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you so much. All right.
Oh, appreciate it.